Tacklers, karibuni sana. Welcome to the Tackle Show Diaspora edition. We are live, ready to start. A very hot day today, a lot of topics, great discussion, and today I have a privilege of having some wonderful guys here. Lakini kama kawaida, before tuanze show, let's have a word of prayer and then we start. Let's pray. Father, we thank you for yet another evening, yet another morning, another day that we are coming together as Kenyans as we guide our discussion today. May we be able to exchange good ideas, enhance our country, and more so inform our fellow citizens on what is happening around the globe and especially in our beloved country, Kenya. In Jesus' name I pray. Amen. Thank you. Karibuni sana, Professor. Karibu sana, Bwana Keja. Karibu sana. Mambo ni mengi yamefanyika hii wiki yote. So many events have been happening, so many things. Top of the tongue, I start with seen observation about the judiciary. I've seen about the issues about the parliament. We have issues about government policies, international relations. Mambo ni mengi. Lakini kwa ujumla, Professor, wacha nianze na wewe. Ni nini ambacho unaona kabisa cha muhimu saizi wa Kenya wanafaa kuangalia, especially wacha tuanze na mambo za international relations. Kuna shida na policies zetu na international relations. Wewe unaonaje?
Mimi naona kuna changamoto nyingi na la kwanza, ndugu mwenyekiti, lazima niliangazia ni hili swala la wanajeshi wa Kenya kwenda kwenye taifa la Haiti. Na naona changamoto hapo kwa mada tatu muhimu. La kwanza ni ya kwamba waziri mkuu, yani Ariel Henry, yuko mamlakani kwa njia batili, yani kikatiba muda wake wa kuongoza ulipita kitambo, lakini bado anajikaza kibabe aendelee kwa nyadhifa hiyo. Kwa hivyo magenge sasa yameamka, yamesema lazima uondoke, yanaleta vurugu. Kwa hivyo inatuletea changamoto moja hapo. La kwanza, kama waziri mkuu hana mamlaka ya kikatiba, basi ni nani yule alikuja Nairobi kupiga saini na rais wetu Ruto kusema ya kwamba mimi napiga saini hii kwa niaba ya watu wa Haiti? Kwa sababu kikatiba yeye sio rais, muda wake ulikuwa umepita. Kwa hivyo mkataba huo ni butu, hauna uzito wa kikatiba. Hiyo ni swali la kwanza. Swali la pili ni hili. Wanajeshi wa Kenya, kusema kweli, sisi tunaongea Kizungu na Kiswahili. Haiti ni nchi wanaongea Kifaransa, lakini zaidi wengi wao wanaongea ile lugha ya Kikreole, yani mchanganyiko wa lugha za Caribbean, lugha za Kiafrika, Kifaransa, mchanganyiko. Hatujui hizo lugha mbili zote. Kweli tutawezaje kuwasiliana na hawa wana Haiti kama hatuwezi kuongea nao? Changamoto la tatu, ndugu mwenyekiti ARAMA, ni hili. Hatujui mazingira yaliyopo kule Haiti. Hayo magenge yanajua mazingira yao. Hakuna mtu anaweza kuja Kenya ajue Kenya zaidi ya Wakenya. Kwa hivyo sisi kama Wakenya tukienda Haiti, hatujui Haiti, hatujui Port-au-Prince, yani mji mkuu. Haya magenge yanajua eneo zote, wanajua lugha, sisi hatujui lugha, wanajua utamaduni wao, sisi hatujui utamaduni wao. Changamoto nyingine ni hiki. Nusu ya polisi wa Haiti wanashirikiana na hayo magenge kuuza mihadarati na kubadilishana risasi. Kwa hivyo kwa Kenya kutuma polisi wetu huko, tutajiingiza tena na kuuza hayo madawa? Tutawezaje kutofautisha wale polisi ambao wanafanya kazi kwa dhati, kwa uaminifu, na wale ambao wanavuruga sheria? Pasi na kukumbuka ya kwamba pia polisi wetu kule nyumbani hii tabia chafu ya kuchukua hongo kiholela. Hilo ni swali la tatu. Kwa hivyo Na kumalizia lazima niseme hivi. Ziwa la Haiti limezingirwa wakati huu na silaha zaidi ya 500,000. 500,000 weapons.
Yes.
500,000. Sisi tunapeleka polisi 1,000. Hawa polisi watawawa. Mkuu wa genge Chiriza anaitwa Barbecue amesema mkileta vikosi kutoka nje tunawaua wote na tunawateka nyara. Sasa mimi nashangaa serikali yetu. Polisi wetu wakianza kushikwa kule Haiti wanatekwa nyara, wengine wanauawa tu kinyama. Tutafanyaje? Tutatoa meli Mombasa tuende mpaka Haiti? Sitabidi tupigie Biden tumwambie jamani kuja kutusaidia. Mimi sijui jambo hili limeweza kuangaziwa. Maana huu mjadala inabidi rais wetu awe nayo na raia. Maana hao ni polisi wetu. Hao ni watoto wetu. Hao ni ndugu zetu. Hao ni baba zetu. Hao ni mama zetu. Itakuwaje tuwaone wako Haiti, nchi ya mbali, na wanawao kinyama? Na huku kwetu Baringo, huko kwetu mpaka na Somalia, Samburu, Pokot, hata Nairobi kuna ukosefu wa usalama. Hayo tu kaka mwenyekiti.
Asante sana. Na jambo la kuongezea pia, kumbuka kwamba huyo mkubwa wa hizo genge mwenye umemtaja ni pia alikuwa ni mkuu wa polisi Haiti.
Kweli kabisa.
Yeah. So kwangu mimi ninaona kwamba it is a bigger challenge, and I wish the president would listen and take a step back and value Kenyans' life and say, no, we cannot do this. You have the parliament, you have the judiciary has already said this is not correct. Stop it. Because
manake ARAMA tafakari hivi. Kama mataifa madola makubwa kama Marekani wameogopa kupeleka askari wao huko. Marekani imeogopa. Canada wale wanaongea lugha nao Kifaransa, sehemu ya Canada wanaongea lugha na Haiti, wameogopa kwenda. Brazil walienda huko wakatoka wakakimbia. Sasa sisi taifa linaloendelea na uchumi wetu mdogo na uwezo wetu mdogo, sisi tunadharau Kenya. Huo ni ukweli, uwezo wetu ni mdogo. Sisi sio super power. Sisi sio kigogo. Mimi sijui wengine wanaonaje. Manake mimi naona pengine ni tamaa ya kupata zile dola za UN. Zile dola 1,200,000 pengine unaona Nairobi. Hapana hapa. Hizi dola 100 milioni. Sijui wasemaje. Manake pia kuna pesa kwa meza ARAMA. Wewe ungekuwa rais ungefanyaje? Milioni 200 dola?
Dola milioni 200 ni pesa nyingi. Lakini kwa upande mwingine hawa wa Kenya 1,000 unatuma kwa sababu unawatuma kwa guaranteed death. At least more than half. Wacha tuseme tu at least more than half. Tuseme about 800. They are guaranteed to die. Wengi watakufa on the very day wanafika hivi. Before wajue ni mahali wanaenda, before wajue nini wanafanya, wameuawa kadhaa. Wengine watatekwa nyara. Maana wenyewe hao Haiti, mimi hapa nina marafiki na wajua wanatoka hiyo nchi. Wanasema jameni, sisi ni wandugu, mnakuja kufanya nini kwetu? Mbona mnamuunga mkono mtu mwenye yako katika mamlaka kwa njia isiyo ya halali? Tunapigania nini? Nyinyi kaeni kwenu na sisi tukae kwetu. Wacha tusuluhishe mambo yetu kivyetu. So I don't understand. Keja, what's your perspective?
Hii maneno imekuwa ngumu. Kwa sababu wacha nikuulize swali. Hata wewe tu, just from a personal perspective.
Yeah.
Ulikuwa unaambiwa unakuja Amerika. Au kuambiwa vile nakaa, au kuwa unajua ni nini?
Yeah.
hata huko najua dola, huko najua nini inaendelea. Sasa hata kabla ujue nini inaendelea, ulikuwa umeshagongwa na mzungu. Unaambiwa paka ufanye ujui.
Yeah.
Na wewe pengine Kenya alikuwa amesema huyu ndio amesoma kutoka community, huyu ndio amesoma, huyu ndio tunaweza mpeleka, tunaweza fanya harambee, huyu ndio huyu ndio anaweza.
Yeah.
Lakini unakuja hapa, you get confused.
Yep.
Yeah, culture is different. Alafu ukiangalia tena hiyo maneno ile kitu, kuna kitu ingine point out. Shida si polisi. Hakuna first world country wameamua kutuma polisi huko.
Yep.
Wanatumanga army, wanashindwa army, wanafukuzwa.
Yeah.
Trained army people. Okay, wacha tufanye hesabu. Kenya Army si wametolewa Kongo.
Yeah.
Si wametolewa Kongo juzi. Mbona asitumwe Haiti? Wameamua kutuma polisi. Huyu polisi mwenye ulikuwa unasema ukifika Kenya unampatia 500 ananyamaza.
Hata 500 nyingi.
500 nyingi, 100.
Huyu ndio nampeleka Haiti aende.
100. Usitupe pesa 100.
Aenda fanya nini huko? Na wanangojwa, and if you look at it, nimekuwa nikiangalia news juzi.
Yeah.
Those people are prepared.
Oh yeah.
They are prepared for the Kenyan Army. Very prepared for the Kenyan Army. Huko wanaenda kutandikwa na kunyanyaswa. Watu watakuwa nakuja na makaburi. Wachana hiyo maneno ya Gaza.
Yeah.
Alafu ukiangalia unasema yenyewe. Sasa kama Kenya Army ile ilisimamisha kila mahali, badala kuwatuma Haiti mnatuma polisi. Huyo polisi huyo mwenye unaweza kasirika naye. Unajua ukiangalia ukiwa kijana, polisi hakushtui. Lakini ukiona soja
army unajua hapa hapana.
Huwezi jaribu na soja. Yeah, this is hii ni kama just money making scheme. Number one, I'm disappointed. Because they are sending
ignorant people who are not aware.
Yes.
They don't have a value of their life.
And they are signing a death sentence.
Yeah.
They are signing a death.
Lakini Joel na Keja, naweza changia hapo kidogo pia. Naweza ongezea na ile Keja alisema.
Yeah.
Pia naona kuna sura mbaya ya polisi wa Kenya kuingilia kati.
Yeah.
Na tuseme yani ukiangalia
Alfred ameweka okay.
Alfred, tunasikiza hiyo manzi anakuombeleza.
Hello. Okay. Yeah. No, ametuliza. Okay. No, kuongezea tu haraka upesi. Inaangazia sura mbaya, manake mimi vile ninavyopiga darubini Alfred, Steven, Keja na Joel haya mataifa yaliyoendelea, madola makubwa hayataki kutuma askari wao weupe kwenda kufa huko. Marekani inatumia sura za mweusi mwingine, lakini huku nyuma wanatupatia pesa kwenda huko kwa niaba yao, kwa sababu hawataki kwenda wao. Yeah. Tusisahau kwamba Marekani ilikuwa ina historia ya ukoloni kule Cuba.
Yeah.
Karne iliyopita Marekani ilivamia Cuba, vile imevamia Puerto Rico, hata mpaka wa leo Puerto Rico ni sehemu ya Marekani. Ilikuwa imevamia Haiti hivyo hivyo. Yani Haiti iwe kama ni sehemu ya kikoloni ya Marekani. Kwa hivyo pia kuna hiyo waliwapiga. Kwa hivyo pia kuna historia ile chafu. Kwa hivyo pia kuna sura nyingine ya rangi ya kwamba mzungu hataki ionekane bayana ya kwamba taifa ya kizungu kina wavamia. Kwa hivyo anatoa mtu kutoka Afrika mweusi mwenyewe, ili mkiuana inaonekana mweusi anaua mweusi. Watu wanacheza sere. Watu wanacheza sere. Mwasemani?
Alfred ameingia. Amemalizana na mwanamke.
Alfred alikuwa anasikiza radio.
Alfred amaliza kazi
Alfred, welcome.
Yes.
How are you?
Weka video, weka kamera tuone sura yako. Tuone nani kwenye yako.
Niko kazi na
niko kwenda game bwana, niko kwenda mechi. Weka video.
Alfred.
Yes.
Ebu toa mchango wako. Tell us what's happening.
Alfred, kuna nini hapo chini? Kuna nini hapo chini? Nani uko hapo chini?
Umesema maoni kuhusu nini chairman?
Tunaongea kuhusu Haiti. Prime Minister alikuja Kenya akasign agreement lakini ameshindwa kurudi Haiti.
Unajua tungeonyeshwa hiyo agreement ilikuwa inahusu nini? Ingetusaidia. Na hiyo agreement bwana alitoka huko kote ndio akakuja Kenya, ameona ni nini special kule Kenya. Na amewawacha huko majirani wenu huko, akakuja mpaka huko Kenya, amepita huko UK, amekuja mpaka huko Kenya. Unajua like the earlier guest alisema kwamba unajua hii watu wengine wanajaribu kutuweka katika matata. Na unaona sasa jamaa alienda juzi wakafungua male mageng hatari kabisa. Wale wenda wazimu wamevuta bangi mpaka bangi imewakubali. So mimi naona kama president kiongozi hawezi rudi country yake. Kenya police mwenye anatafuta 50 bob ya traffic ataingia na wapi? Ataingia na wapi? Ataingia na wapi? Training gani atatumia kupambana na mtu ameishi kwa hiyo nchi miaka hizo zote, amewezwa na polisi ya hiyo nchi, amewezwa mpaka na serikali. So wewe ni nani uingie huko? Hiyo ni it is a fatal decision that we are making, that watu wetu wanaenda kuawa tu tuwalete kama maiti, because there is nothing else we are trying to do. There is nothing else we are trying to do. If those people, you know, if you have gangs more than 4,000 in the streets, and this is a territory that you've never been there before. You are going there for the first time. Second, you know, young men and women, you know, young souls, what for? You know, if it is not under the UN and the America and everyone else, wachana na hiyo vitu. Wachana naye, wacha waseme tumekataa, but it is not a good call for our people. Hata kama mimi ningekuwa askari niambie una deployiwa huko, heri nirudi nichunge kondoo nyumbani. I rather just resign and go home, because there is no point of going there kama mwanaume na urudi kwa sanduku na bado kuna watoto, bado kuna wazazi, bado lazima wachunge, bado kuna you know there is
you have a
long
whole life
list of things that you still need to achieve.
Na compensation
kama pesa ilisainiwa haijulikani wangapi, wanajeshi wangapi. You saw the other guy in hospital petitioning the Senate, you know. How many soldiers have been you know, in accidents? How many soldiers have been in missions and they have never been paid? They always come to TV and say, oh, we are working on compensating them, but they don't get those money, you know. So it is unfortunate that, you know, it's not a good call for us. There are things that we can support, but for me, I believe this is not the right time for us to offer our support. We are still young to do such things. Unless otherwise. But I believe it's not a good call. Wawacha jamaa bado tuchape 50 bob ya pale
ya traffic.
Ya pale barabarani ya traffic. Wacha waendelee huko. We are happy.
Yeah. And to me, the biggest question also is, where is our parliament? Where is our Senate? Why are you letting this happen?
No, parliament walikubali. Parliament ni kuchapa tu muhuri. Rais anasema, parliament anasema ndio mwenyekiti. Ndio walipiga muhuri, walipiga kura wakakubali. Hii kesi imezuka kwa sababu
kwanza tuone. So wangetuma kama mediator waenda tuone huko kwanza.
Okot aliwasilisha hiyo kesi mahakamani, ndiposa mahakama ikakataa, lakini wajumbe bunge ilikuwa ishatoa idhini, imekubali, wote walikubali. Na vile Alfred anasema, unajua pia lazima tuelewe utamaduni ya Haiti. Steve Arama, sijui kama mnajua historia ya Haiti. Unajua huko ndio kuna hiyo mila ya voodoo, ya voodoo.
Voodoo, yes.
Kwa hiyo wakikuchinja wanaweza kung'oa sehemu zako nyeti, waende kufanya ile ukarabati wao wa kiajabu ajabu. Yani ile mila na itikadi zao za kidini za voodoo. Unajua kwa sababu kwa voodoo Arama, wewe ukija ukiua kabila langu au mimi nikiwa adui wako, ukiniua lazima kwa utamaduni lazima ule mwili wangu au sehemu zangu nyeti, ili ume wangu uingie kwa mwili wako ikufanye uwe na nguvu zaidi. Na pia mimi nikikuua nafanya hivyo. Yani wana utamaduni mwingine wa kiajabu ajabu. Ila swala lingine hakuna mtu anajadili. Na mimi kwangu nasema, Arama, maslahi yetu nyeti. What is our national interest
in Haiti? Or in that region in general? We don't.
That is what especially the parliament. Because ndio wapitishe kitu kama hiyo, wakubali mapolisi. Wasiseme the Kenyan army to go. Wakubali mapolisi waende huko. Iko kitu wanajua, ingi hatujui. Hata kama number 1 amesema okay waende, lakini mbona kutuma the army? And we are known as the best, the Kenyan army is known as the best army when it comes to peace. Lakini mnakuja mnaamua ni mapolisi waende.
People with no training to deal with such.
Wengine wameanza juzi. So to me it is very fishy. Very fishy. Kwa sababu hao majamaa wamesikia tu hiyo peace hiyo siku tu huyo mjamaa alitoka Haiti, prime minister.
They took over.
Watu wakatolewa jela. Same day.
Na unajua wanafanya hivyo makusudi. Wanataka Wakenya muone sisi hapa, huyu waziri mkuu hana mamlaka, sisi ndio tunaongoza nchi hii. Na kama hatutaki atue na ndege yake uwanja wa ndege, atatua. Hawezi. Wamekataa.
That is very sad. Alafu wamewachilia tu Africans. Hey, Bwana Ruto,
please reconsider.
Apige darubini.
Hii ni ngumu. Hii ni ngumu sana. Ngumu sana. Yeah, because umewacha defense forces,
Yes.
Air Force, umewacha ground force,
Yes.
umewacha army,
Yeah,
ukarukia polisi.
Na Keja, hebu nikuulize swali hili pia, na Steve pia changie na Arama. Pia nimekuwa nikitafakari Arama, wewe ukiwa polisi wa Kenya, sio upelekwe Haiti uwe mtoto au ubake msichana au ubake wanawake watatu kiholela. Polisi wa Kenya abake wanawake kiholela afanye maovu pale. Sasa Keja, Arama, nani, mahakama gani itakuwa mahakama ya Kenya ama itakuwa ICC ama itakuwa mahakama ya Haiti? Na Haiti kwa wakati huu tunajua hakuna mahakama, hakuna bunge, na rais hafanyi kazi. Majaji hafanyi kazi. Yani ni hali ya kusambaratika kwa amani na miundombinu za serikali. Kwa hivyo sisi kama wa Kenya kweli tumepiga darubini tuseme Arama alikuwa polisi wa Kenya, akabaka mtoto wa miaka 5 au akabaka msichana au akaua mwananchi kiholela, ni mahakama gani itamsimamia? Manake sisi kama wa Kenya haitakuwa vizuri kama mahakama ya nje zinasimamia askari wetu. Kama amekosea arudishwe Kenya, afungwe Kenya. Hizo ni desturi za kimataifa. Sasa Kenya sio mwaonaje? Tumebaini na tumetafakari kwa undani tuone kweli askari wetu wakifanya makosa, binadamu ni kufanya makosa, sio msahili analia hanalia, sio kila mtu kufanya makosa. Sasa sijui ni mahakama gani itaweza kusimamia jambo hili kama Haiti mahakama zimesambaratika.
Lakini wacha nikuulize swali pia wewe profesa. Ile swali nitakuuliza, hizi maswali zilipitia kila mtu kwa hiyo serikali yetu? Hii maswali unauliza tu. Walifikiria wakasema okay ni sawa tume mapolisi, wote walifikiria wakakubalia.
Jamani Kenya, ndiposa unaona Afrika pia lazima tutafakari upya. Unajua kama hapa Congress, bunge la hapa lina wasomi, linafanya utafiti kama huu, linaenda linaambia wabunge mkienda Iraq, mkienda Afghanistan ni hivi, msiende Haiti. Huko Kenya profesa wangapi Kenya huko kutoka Egerton ama University of Nairobi wanafanya utafiti kuhusu masuala haya. Kila weekend mimi naona kwa bar wanachoma nyama na kunywa bia. Na hii hapa ndio maneno inabidi ama profesa wao wakifanya utafiti wanaenda kupatia serikali yetu wasia. Badala yake ni kuchoma nyama Kenyatta Market, kuchoma nyama Kariobangi, kunywa bia. Alafu na Faith ameingia, nataka kusikia mchango wake. Kama maprofesa wanafanyia wanafunzi wetu wasichana unyama. Manake wengine anasema badala kufanya utafiti mambo ya Haiti, anaangalia darasani, anaona
anafanya utafiti
huyu msichana na anataka kufanya utafiti na wanafunzi wake wa kike. Unajua mambo mengi tu. Na inabidi anafanya utafiti ya Haiti, yeye anafanya utafiti na wanafunzi wake wa kike. Jamani, ni ungwana.
Haya, karibu.
Bwana mwenyekiti, na kwanza nataka kumtambua mwalimu mkuu kwa lugha ya Kiswahili akiwa katika kikao hichi. Kisha ningependa sana bwana mwenyekiti upate kumkosoa mwalimu kwamba walimu wetu ama maprofesa wanafanya kazi kwa bidii sana. Hivi anavyowakejeli kwamba utafiti wao katika hali ya kukagua wanawake, hivi si kweli?
Ni vile Kenya aliuliza mbona bunge hawajaelezwa mambo haya. Na mimi nilikuwa nikisema wasomi badala kufanya utafiti waongea na bunge, wanafanya kukuruka kata zingine ambazo hazieleweki.
Lakini kwa kina bwana, acha nikuita mkurugenzi mkuu. Kwanza ningependa kuwasalimia, nitume salamu zangu na kuwashukuru sana katika kuandaa kikao hichi ili tujadili mambo yanayotuadhiri kama nchi. Mimi ningependa kusema nchi ya Kenya iko kibao mbele kwa masuala ya security, kwa sababu ukiangalia katika mafunzo ambayo yanaitwa SWAT, kwa lugha ya kimombo ni Special and Weaponry and Tactics, something like that. Wamepopea katika mafunzo yao kuanzia mwaka wa 2020 hadi sasa pale mjini Nairobi, Isiolo na kwingineko. Kwa hivyo tunapotuma maafisa wetu pale, sio maafisa tu wale ambao wameenda wakafusu pale kiganjo. Ni maafisa ambao wako na specially training ambayo ni ya kipekee katika masuala ya ulinzi na kukabiliana na watu ambao wanajulikana kama wagaidi. Kwa hivyo mimi ningependa sana kushukuru serikali ya Kenya kwa kutia mbele na kwa kuingia katika wazi na kusaidia mandugu zetu ambao
walichukuliwa. Ngoja kabla ongee mengi. Mbona wa Canada wako?
Lakini sasa unajua tunazungumza juu ya Wakenya, sio wa Canada.
Mbona wa Canada wako huko? Hiyo tumeongea yote.
Lakini unajua
Bwana Mise, swali nyeti hapa ambaye profesa ameuliza ni hii. Kwanza, jambo la kwanza ni kwamba utamaduni wetu na lugha pia, wa Haiti wanaongea Kifaransa na Creole. Sisi wa Kenya tuna lugha zetu. Majorly labda ukikuja katika lugha za kimataifa ni Kiingereza peke yake. Sasa tutawasiliana aje na wenzetu huko Haiti tukifika huko? On top of that, Prime Minister ama waziri mkuu ambaye alikuja Kenya kutia sahihi mkataba wa kupeleka polisi huko, yeye mwenyewe ameshindwa kuregea katika nchi yake ya Haiti. Saizi amepewa makazi Dominican Republic. Sasa sisi polisi wetu wataenda kukaa wapi? Wataingiaje hiyo nchi ya Haiti? Kwanza
panguza sura na kuona mwambie panguza mara tatu.
Kwanza mimi ningesema kwamba sisi ni watu wazuri. Sisi ni watu, nchi ya Kenya ni nchi nzuri, iko na moyo wa kusaidia na imeonyesha ishara nzuri ya kusaidia, na profesa anajua kwamba sisi tuna historia ya kusaidia kuanzia sijui West Africa.
Wacha nikuulize swali. Utatuma ndugu yako Haiti?
Hamna, unajua kufanya ukweli,
utatuma ndugu yako Haiti.
Profesa anajua kwamba ukiingia katika kikosi cha polisi, kikosi cha wanajeshi na vikosi vinginevyo, unajitolea muhanga kufanyia nchi kazi unapohitajika kufanya kazi. Na wale ndugu zetu ambao tunatuma Haiti, sio mara ya kwanza kuenda nje katika kudumisha amani. Hii unapoangalia Central Africa, hata Congo na nchi zingine, Kenya imekuwa kibao mbele kwa kuweka amani.
Ngoja. Walikuwa natuma polisi ama walikuwa natuma jeshi?
Lakini hivi sasa unajua katika uringo wa kijeshi ama bwana mkurugenzi mkuu, katika lugha ya Kiswahili tunahitaji masuala ya security aje katika lugha ya Kiswahili?
Masuala ya kiusalama.
Masuala ya kiusalama hivi sasa yamebadilika, ndugu yangu. kitamba tu kuwa na afisa wa polisi ambao walikuwa na very high training kama wanajeshi. Hata wanajeshi wenyewe hawana hiyo training kama ya SWAT, you know.
Sasa mbona tusiwatumie kwa nchi yetu? Mbona tuwatumie?
Nchi yetu kuna amani ndugu yangu. Sasa sisi tuna shida gani?
Bwana Mize, wakazi wa Baringo na Turukana hawezi kubaliana nawe.
Unajua wakazi wa Baringo wana fursa ya kuhama waende waishi Kisii, waende waishi eneo ya Kenya. Kwa hivyo wana alternative. Kenya, katiba ya Kenya inasema kwamba wewe kama mwananchi wa Kenya unaweza ukaishi nchi yoyote ya Kenya, sio hivyo kwamba haujalazimisha.
Ndogo mwenyekiti Arama, naomba upatie wanawake pia nafasi yao, usawa wa jinsia. Mjadala huu usisimamiwa zaidi na maoni ya wanaume. Lazima wanawake pia sauti yao
lakini mkurugenzi hapa amekimbilia masuala ya kijinsia, ila hali tulikuwa masuala ya usalama.
Nataka itachangie kwa mada hii akipenda pia anaweza kuchangia. Unajua mwezi huu wanaita CSW, mwezi huu wanasema condition of women. Mwaka huu Umoja wa Mataifa tunaangazia maslahi ya wanawake. Tusisahau Faith, wanawake wanafanyiwa unyama Haiti kila siku, ni kufanyiwa uchafu, kufanyiwa madharau.
Lakini pia mkurugenzi bana, hawa wanawake pia haswa pia wametunyanyasa, lakini pia Faith hazungumzia hayo vile wanaume wanadhulumiwa.
Faith, welcome.
Hello everybody.
How are you?
I'm doing amazing. Kwaje?
Tuko poa.
Nimepata huku maswala ni moto kuruka.
Yeah.
I guess nimepata mkiendelea. I guess mnaongelea mambo ya Margaret Wanjiru.
Tunaongea mambo za police deployment to Haiti.
Oh, police deployment.
Yeah.
Mimi nashangaa hii police deployment, sisi wenyewe tunahitaji msaada. Mbona wanatumwa Haiti? Doesn't make sense. Huh?
Yeah.
So my first thing is like, in Kenya we need actually a lot of help. We don't have even muscle strength to start helping other people. Tunasali kwanza tujisaidie kwanza before hata tuende kusaidia watu wengine. You know. Alafu actually the economy of Kenya, I was there in Kenya the other day, and the economy is really bad in Kenya. Mi ile masuala naezongelea Kenya ni nimejionea leo ya Margaret Wanjiru akilia akivunjwa miguu na mikono.
Napoli? Na nani? Alikuwa anavunjwa na nani?
Sasa
government is eating even his children. Government haina huruma.
But
honestly.
The question is, speaking of Bishop Wanjiru and organization, the bigger question to me is, because this is both humanity and legal issue also. People have to be accountable for what they do. I have no specific knowledge, but based on the information I'm seeing, there is a claim that she built a church in public land that belongs to Kenya Railways.
Yeah.
And that's why they're demolishing it.
But here, they don't have any, according to what they say, they don't have any letter which is addressed from the court to say that this certain day they're gonna come in and they're gonna start demolishing. You just can't walk in like you are walking in a private or in a public restaurant and start demolishing someone's property.
Yes.
They need to have been given a notice. And I'm very sure if a notice was served to them, because Margaret Wanjiru herself, actually, she likes public appearances and public, she likes public view. I'm sure she would have made it public to the people to say that they've been given a notice to vacate, or they've been given a notice that the demolition gonna be taking place.
Okay, let me ask you a question. Who did she vote for?
She was for this government, and this government, as I say, it's eating even its own children. Me personally, I was actually pro Ruto, 100%, 100%. But honestly, we can't be very quick in making some decisions. We can't govern Kenya as if we are governing our own house. That's what I feel. I feel the advisors he has, they are messing him up, and they're gonna mess him more and more and more and more.
Wait a minute, Faith. Joel, may I contribute?
Yes.
Faith, you know, when you're in politics, you're not baking cookies. You know, you're not in a softball. This is a wrestling match. It's like boxing. It's like rugby. You have to be ready to take the hard punches. It's not about gender. When you're in the political scene, what's between your legs is irrelevant. You're going to be hit with hard hits. So Margaret Wanjiru benefited when she was.
Is coming from in this scenario.
Well, I'm saying what I'm saying is, I'm looking at it purely as politics. So I have no sympathies for her if she's suffering. I would expect that the way a man suffers is the way Wanjiru should suffer. Because she went into politics. She understands the nature of our politics. So the benefits she got by being next to KK, when the weather changes, when it is sunny, enjoy. Make hay while the sun shines, ARAMA. That's what they say. When it starts raining, you should be ready with your umbrella. And it seems the clouds have come and the rain is falling. Now, am I saying what's happening is right? No. But I'm also being very realistic. She has benefited so much by manipulating the poorest of the poor, Ndugumise, Kenya. These these pastor politicians, they take from the poorest people every Sunday and they enrich themselves. And they are involved in some of the dirtiest adultery, pornography in those churches.
One thing.
Let me finish. Let me finish. I'm almost done. So, as much as someone come to tell me, oh, I'm a pastor, I want to pray for you to be saved. No, don't pray for me. Number one, pray for yourself. Number two, don't keep taking money from the poorest people every Sunday and asking them to pray to God when they should really be looking for jobs. You take advantage of their psychological trauma and frustration with the way things are bad. And every Sunday you use their money to build your palatial churches, and they are suffering. You go into politics with the money of the poorest of the poor. You engage in all the dirty things in politics, Faith. And then when things are turning, you're now praying to God saying, oh, I'm suffering. Hiyo tu.
Faith? Yeah, go ahead. You're still muted.
Hold on.
Yes.
Okay. I hope this is not we are actually conversing on a very sober topic right now.
Yes.
I don't know how it diverted to being a church. I don't know, offerings or something. First of all, I am very sure you've never contributed an offering in that church. True or not?
No, I
You
don't.
don't need
I'm
to
very.
answer. You don't need to answer. This is not a
No,
matter of
no,
whether it's a religious
no, no, no.
organization.
I can, I
Hold
can
on.
respond to your question.
I
Wait,
gave
I
you
can
time for
respond to your
you to
question.
talk. I gave you time.
Okay,
I
no,
gave you
okay.
time to talk.
Sorry. Okay, go ahead.
Okay.
I'm sorry, Prof. I gave you time. So this is not all about religious. Whether I'm a Christian, whether I'm a Muslim, I know the church has been getting a lot of attacks. I'm not gonna get to that topic. Whether or not, what I feel is that these people should have gone it the right way. Whether he was supporting that government or whether he was not supporting that government.
Yeah.
Well, I'm very sure that yes, she was supporting the government, and the government right now, it's actually eating her. They should follow the right legal steps. We have seen this thing happen to people in what is this company, the cement company. You have seen people the people who are demolished 4 houses, the poor
Yes.
people. If this is a person who has the capacity to know who is who in the country and has the capacity actually to afford what you
Legal.
can say is luxury in Kenya. What about that poor Wanjiko on the ground, eh? Mwenye hata hajui mbele na nyuma. You know? So I'm like, the country should follow the rule of law.
I have a challenge. I have a challenge for you. So
bring it on.
Okay, I have a challenge for you.
Yeah.
All of those people who have been moved, or they're being told to move, or they're being told to lease, or they're being told, okay, we can move you and everything. There's nobody who said they're not on government land.
Okay.
There's nobody who has said, okay, this is the land I bought. There's nobody who has claimed that here's my title deed. This is the government land. So what are you protecting this particular person? And it has been trending.
So this is my take. This is my take. Let them go to court. If the court, and it should be actually be made public, if the court finds out like they don't have the documentations of owning the land, then that is fine. But them coming to demolish the church, and there's not any notice which has been given or anything, they have never gone to court, they've never done anything, then that's not right.
But how
if
many other people have gone through that?
Actually, for example, the cement company.
Without notice. So why is it that this bishop all of a sudden has been hurt more than those?
Let me ask you one question. This church has been there over 20 years. When I was growing up, Jesus Alive Ministries was there. Today ndio gava imeamka ikasema, oh, like you people are not supposed to be here. Where have they been the last
What
20
about
years,
the cement people?
25 years?
What about the cement people? What about the...
So, Keja, actually, the land you're talking about, those people were warned by the company that is the company's land, and whoever is selling you this land is selling it illegally. You should not buy it.
For the cement company, I totally agree. I totally agree,
So
because those people
the problem I'm trying to get to is the Kenya Railways land. There's some land that people who are being evicted, but it was not in the news.
Okay.
It was not in the news.
So I guess.
Okay. I'm gonna give you an example. Good example. Kenya Railways land comes from Mombasa all the way to Kisumu.
Kisumu, yes.
All the way to Malaba. Through all those people were evicted. It was not in the news.
Okay.
All of a sudden, now when it comes to the Nairobi area, now it becomes a big deal.
The church has been there more than 20 years. They can't just wake up today and say that, oh, we are coming to demolish your church.
Yeah,
let them go to court. Let them go to court. Let them give out the documentation to show that they own the land. And then we Kenyans, we're going to accept.
But Faith,
Yes,
are you
yes,
saying,
That's
Faith, your argument is that there has been an injustice that has lasted 20 years. Does the length of the existence of the injustice validate the ownership?
I'm not saying there have been an injustice. I'm saying how broken our law system.
I'm just giving you like an example. Let's say there has been a man who has been raping women for a decade, and he was never caught. Now that a day has come that he has been caught, does he justify by saying that, but I've been doing this for this long, so why are you arresting me today?
But this has been on public domain for longest.
Answer me the way you put Professor Monda on spot. Is it a yes or no?
It's a no.
Yeah, and Faith, also to add to what Misa is saying, how I was bringing religion into the question was the bishop was talking about her being a pastor, a woman of the cloth. So to Misa's point, are we saying that because you're a pastor, you need to be treated differently than Misa or ARAMA or myself? How many people's properties have been demolished? If you constructed on public land, your building will be destroyed. And the reason she's been on that land for 20 years is she's so deep in all the mess and corruption in Nairobi. She's been able to finagle her way and do political maneuvers so that she's able to keep her building. And today, as Mr. is saying, siku za mwezi ni 40.
Hizo siku za mwezi wanaenda kotini, and then koti iweze kudetermine the case.
One more thing, Chairman, before you say.
Yes.
One more thing. Our argument is very simple. The role of religion in a society is to bring sanity to a society and give order, or tell people, bring hope, bring sanity, reduce or help the government in reducing crime by preaching to the people to do the right thing. Now, by partaking in the wrong things, does this really justify the position of Reverend? This is what we are wondering. If a reverend can steal, what about me, who has not been called, who has not been anointed? So
hapa tunaekelea kitu yenye si hata sisi wenyewe hatujui. Hata sisi wenyewe hatujui story. Hakuna notice tumeona. There's nothing we have seen.
Story has been there. The land is for railways.
We are just talking on propaganda things.
No, Faith. You're talking like Mise and myself and ARAMA. We are Kenyans. We've lived in Kenya all our life. We're not Americans reading a story in the newspaper. We have lived experiences. We know how Kenya works. Come on, Faith. I mean, you're telling us about the rule of law? Really? Really? The rule of law in Kenya? The law is determined by who has money. The law will be applied on those, the hammer of the law will come heavily on those that do not have the money. But as long as you have money, as long as you're keyed into the political system, you can commit any kind of a crime and you get away with it. And Mr. Sonko is a very good example. How many hundreds of millions did he steal? Kesi yake iko wapi? Aisha Jumwa is another example. And there's so many other pastors, I don't even want to name. We know them. Kesi zao zinafinywa. We are Kenyans. We know these things. We are not Americans.
Faith, I was not born in Nairobi, but the time I spent and lived in Nairobi, I knew that all the way from Kenya Polytechnic, which is now I think a technical university, down there on along Elslas Avenue, all the way to Karibu Gikomba, they call it Market Marikiti.
Marikiti, yes.
and then you go all the way round, and then you go to round to industrial area, the roundabout there, city stadium. That land belonged to railways.
Yes.
That has been, and we all know that it belonged to railways. In fact, railways even went all the way to South B again,
yes,
to own what is called RTI. Okay, so that land, whoever has occupied that land belongs to railways. So we know that there's been issues or questions about the ownership
almost all those government houses.
Yeah.
So guys, I see there's a new gentleman here, Andrew. Karibu sana, Bob nakuona. I just wanted, there's something that to me bothers me that I just wanted to raise up, and I think to some extent I'm seeing Faith's perspective. Yes, it's been over 20 years that this institution has been there, this building has been there. But then at the end of the day, the process of getting this person out, because the person has been there for 20 years, the process of taking this person out is what brings up, because at the end of the day, we want the law to apply equally to everybody. Are they taking advantage of the law because of their political connection and their visibility and their highlight in the public eye? Absolutely, yes. But then at the end of the day, how do we go back? Because I want to see the same people that Keja has mentioned that who have been kicked out of other public lands in some other places being given the same prominency and the same process, just like Bishop Wanjiru. I'm not sympathizing, I'm not agreeing with what she has done, but the principle of applying the law is my biggest concern. I don't know. Bob,
visitors in Jerusalem.
Yes,
visitors of Jerusalem. Wageni wa Yerusalemu, hamjambo. Why are we behaving so?
Weka video tukuone sura bwana. Weka video tukuone sura ama unafanya mengine kule nyuma.
Toka hapa. Haya. Haya. Sijui mbona tunahisi ni kama ni mara ya kwanza tukisikia hii kesi ya Wanjiru.
Yeah.
Hii kesi imekuwa mbeleni.
Yes.
Na ilijitokeza vizuri ile time alikuwa Assistant Minister kwa Ministry of Housing.
Yes.
Kama mnakumbuka vizuri, amebattle na hii kesi for a long time.
Yeah.
Shamba ya railway haikufanywa subdivision.
Yeah.
But because alikuwa kwa authority na alikuwa na connection, then alikuwa na access ya kuchukua shamba ya serikali.
Yeah.
Time ya Kibaki.
Yeah.
Kenya amekuwa akifanya maisha yake yote, na si mara ya kwanza alikuwa evicted by the way. Hiyo mara ya kwanza. Nataka tuende kwa history.
Yeah.
Pole pole muangalie. Ukifuata historia vizuri unakuta kuwa alikuwa maambua atoke mbeleni. Na hata na bahati sana kwa sababu alibembelezwa akaambiwa tafadhali toka. Alifaa kupigwa ngumi akitolewa. Kama umeiba mali ya serikali, unataka ubembelezwe ndio ufanye nini? Yeah?
Yeah.
So kama
hiyo kesi ilikuwa nini mwaka gani?
Faith, nataka ufanye research Faith. Saki tu ukuwe na saki useme na hujafanya research yako. Nataka uende mwenyewe utafute. Hii kesi ya JICA na Railways haikuanza jana.
Yep.
Eviction notice ya hii kitu ilikuwa mbeleni.
Yeah.
Fanya tu research yako JICA versus Kenya Railways. Utapata majibu. So ni ile tu amekutana na serikali yenye maamua whether ulitufanyia campaign ama ukufanyia campaign, msimene na kata mbele na nyuma.
Okay.
Niwaambia so tunafaa kukubali. It doesn't matter kama ulikampainia William ama kampainia William. Kama uliiba unafaa kwanza tunaanza na wewe.
Yeah.
Unatubu dhambi.
Unaona? Na unataka kuniambia Kenya Railways wamekuwa na ilisemekana vizuri. Kenya Railways wana own shamba kutoka kwa laini ya reli. Kuna mita kadhaa ama kilomita kadhaa kutoka kwa laini ya reli.
Na by the way hizo marking bado ziko.
Hiyo bado iko.
Ile chuma ya railway ile bado iko.
Yeah. Na usiingie. Sisi watu wa mashinani huko tunajua hii ni shamba ya railway na inaishia hapa. Na mara nyingi shamba ya railway ilikuwa inakutanishwa kwa center na NCPB. Ama hii doki ya kuweka ng'ombe ndio ipelekwe Kenya Meat Commission. Na unaona bado marking siko. Wewe, kwani Margaret Wanjiru tunajua kweli hakusoma na nani alimwambia vizuri? Miguna. What is a dissertation? Akasema dissertation nimeandika mingi. So labda hakuelewa beacon ya railway ni nini. But beacon ya railway haijaibadilika. Haijaibadilika. Iko mpaka iko vile ilikuwa.
Bob.
So, Faith.
Bob umetumwa? Unachapa
naongeanga na facts, naongeanga na facts.
Faith, stop usishadow box, Faith. Usishadow box vitu. Unaona? Ile reli haijaibadilishwa. Na reli haijakatakata mashamba yao. Hata ile time wakifanya SGR watu walisongeshwa. Wenye walikuwa wameingia kwa shamba ya reli hawakulipwa. Penye reli ilienda watu walipewa compensation. So tukubaliane.
Mwenye amekata hiyo story yako yote ni kweli.
Vita dhidi ya ufisadi. Itapigwa mbele na nyuma.
Sina shida na kitu yote unasema.
Kitu ya pili, kidogo tu. Nilinyamaza mkiongea. Na mimi na Mise ndio kwenye serikali hapa. So tunaongea hii ni government position. Kitu ya pili. Serikali tulifanya makosa kupeleka watu wa Haiti na hatujamalizana bandits no thrift. Na ni kweli mambo ya lugha inaleta shida Haiti. And I want to believe it was the wrong move for Kenya to take their corps to Haiti. Because at the end of it all, what is Kenya's interest in the war in Haiti? The people in the Caribbean are not even receptive to the Africans from Africa. So what was Kenya's interest in Haiti? What are we gaining from this war? Apart from losing lives of our policemen. I think it was a wrong move by the Kenyan government. And when you look around, no other country has gone into this. In Haiti, it is not peacekeeping. It is literally fighting. It is a battlefield of gangs.
Yes.
So we just took our innocent people to fight in our.
Bob, this is a bundle. Okay.
Ni kama kute.
Iwezi isha bwana, huyu ni mtu wako kwa serikali, sisi hatumwangi bundles.
Okay.
Arama.
Enda jia mlima bwana. Enda upanda signal. Panda jia mlima.
Who are you addressing?
Sawa.
Wacha malize.
Go ahead.
So the biggest, no other nation has sent their corps to Haiti.
Yes.
So it is a situation where two brothers are fighting. Alafu nasema acha niende watenganishe. They will pause the fight.
They fight you first.
To fight you first.
Yes.
Once you're out, then they will
go back.
So I think it was a wrong move. I think honestly that on that case, government will misstep.
Naambia serikali.
Yes, ya mwisho mimi na Mise tunaambianga serikali venye iko bwana. Sisi tunaambia serikali ukweli, atubembeleze.
But what about $200 million bwana? Hiyo inaweza imarisha shilingi sana bwana. Marekani wanapatia.
Sasa profesa unajua
unasema shilingi bwana. Milioni 200.
Ngoja kidogo. Wacha Bob malize.
Bob jibu ya milioni 200.
Nitajibu baadaye. Hata nishike tama la maji kisha ndarejea na shilingi milioni 200.
Haya, before nirudi kwa Faith, kuna mgeni hapa, Andrew. Karibu sana. Thank you. Welcome bwana Andrew. Let me give you a chance to say something, introduce yourself and give your contribution.
Tumuone Andrew pia.
Yeah. Yes. If you are able to, let's see your profile. Thank you. There you go.
Yes.
Yes.
Thank you, guys. This is my first time joining.
Karibu.
I'm really enjoying the debate.
Yes.
I'm really enjoying the debate.
Yes.
I'm new in US, and yes. I think I'll be a permanent member here.
Thank you. That's good to hear that.
Karibu sana. Karibu sana.
Wewe uko kipande gani bwana? Uko kipande ya serikali ama uko kipande ya opposition?
Mimi nakaa mahali serikali iko.
Uko kipande ya Kenya na ARAMA.
Sasa iko watu tatu ya serikali hapa.
Hapa kura iko mingi.
What part of the country are you in?
Yeah. Thank you guys. Niko Washington.
Andrew, tuna utamaduni hapa, yule mgeni ananulia watu wote bia. Kwa hivyo leo ni siku yako. Leta vile tulivyo.
Wacha tusikize ARAMA.
Mimi nanunua chai maana mimi ni Mkristo.
There you go. Asante. Karibu sana bwana Andrew and welcome to the US.
Sisi ni Wakristo na tunakunywa pombe.
Ngoja boss.
Thank you.
Guys, while bado tunaendelea na hii discussion, I want to add something on top of that.
Uko Washington wapi? Washington Seattle ama Washington DC?
Andrew.
Niko Seattle, Washington State.
Hata mimi niko Seattle.
Oh. Yeah.
Niko mahali inaitwa Tacoma.
Allah.
I have friends in Tacoma. Yeah. Wait, hata huko hapo karibu. Okay. Guys, there's something
Andrew, hapo hakuna is a no go zone, no touch.
Hey,
touch I'm down there.
Can you listen to chairman? Can you listen to chairman?
Tusikie chairman sasa.
So guys, there's something else I also wanted to add in this. To me, I'm always interested when I see the Wheels of Justice movie. And I'm talking on this in the point of view that if you read, I read an article on Standard saying that one of the land judges, Justice Kulo, who was a very prominent judge, well-known, very articulate, but has been caught in some misdeeds. And the JSC is in the process of removing him as a judge. I don't know, do we, Misa, maybe you can give me this background. How does this really process work? And do we as Kenyans actually understand that we have a way to raise our concerns, especially when we feel or when we see that a judge or any legal magistrate, judge, whichever court they sit in, they are not doing the right thing, and we are able to report and get actionable things taken care of. Let me get your guys' take on this.
No. Let me ask you the question.
Yes.
So, Mr. Is there a way a regular person can approach a lawyer or somebody so that they can get that justification in Kenya?
Not in Kenya. In Kenya, if you ask questions, you are penalized.
Okay.
There's something
as an adjudicator.
There's something fundamental Professor Monda said that actually you didn't pay attention. He said the law is influenced by two things. Power and money. And that is why anyone who is in power, that's why President Trump is not in jail right now. Anyone who has power and money will influence. That's why Sonko is not in jail. So
let me ask you.
To answer your question now, is that the judge already, unless this judge, unless there is interest from above in that particular,
he robbed someone the wrong way.
Okay, hold on. So let me ask you a question. Ngoja kidogo tu. So that Shakahola story, can you please put it in your perspective as a lawyer, and why it is going so slow?
I think that is uncharted water that I wouldn't want to, that I will restrain myself in commenting. But to answer your question again, like you asked before, we know like Justice Maraga, when Justice Maraga overturned the victory of Uhuru Muigai Kenyatta,
we saw even other people emerging and saying that he had, side chicks, some things started happening, and until he recollected himself, he found himself in a unfamiliar territory. And so that is how Kenya works. Kenya works on what is called a bait. Every day, people have something about you they are keeping. They're just waiting for a moment
for the right time to use.
Okay?
So hold on. So lawyers are always waiting for something. Is that
not lawyers? Lawyers don't actually. I'm very pissed off with Kenyan lawyers. I have been on this show in several occasions saying where a lawyer has told me that he is part of the cartel that is going to help me resolve an issue, because why? He's also part of the cartel. And he does not tell me that verbally. He does that in writing. A lawyer knows that is something that can be incriminating. So that is why I'm saying there is nothing like, you know what law means? It means that a lawyer is an officer of the court.
Yes.
A lawyer is held highly as someone who should interpret the law and make sure that there is justice. But that doesn't happen in Kenya. In Kenya, that's why you see people like Danstan Omari, you see Clive Ombeta. They not that they are fighting for justice. They are in media houses because they want to be familiar, so that they can get big cases, the cases that can give them money. It's not about justice. It's about money.
Slow down. You talked about cartels, lawyers being involved in cartels. What did you mean by that?
Lakini bwana mwenyekiti, huwezi ukanyamaza wakinifamia hivi, hata wewe huwezi kanisaidia. Wewe unajua nazungumzia nini bwana? Hebu uingilie kati.
Leo
unafurahi, unachapwa, unatandikwa viboko.
But guys, in reality, and I think I've mentioned this in this show also. Of a, not directly, but of a personal experience, and I brought this in this perspective as an African, as a Kenyan. Especially when you go to how do I call it? Polygamous families.
Yes.
When it comes to land issues, when the father of the head of the family, who is the husband or the father for that family, comes and points and says, for example, one of the wives passes away. And he comes and says, this is where I want my wife to be buried. That culturally and legally says that land, that section of the land belongs to that house for that wife. But then when you go to court and a judge rules that the other house comes, wanakata hiyo shamba, including the grave katikati. And so it becomes an injustice by itself. Now, when you go to complain about such issues, and this is some of the things that got the Judge Kulo in trouble, because he was ruling and delaying some of the cases. And that's what got him in trouble. And there was enough noise and enough people with influence that brought their issues up to the JSC. And the JSC said, you know what? We have enough evidence to show that this guy has not been acting according to the law. Now, obviously, he's not the only one. There are so many other judges who have done that.
Yeah, so there are so many others.
Yeah. But the example you give, Bwana Chairman,
yes,
the example you give is you have to look at it from when you're talking about land. Is this an ancestral land? Is this a bought land that has been bought? Because certain rules apply to those type of lands.
Yes.
So, but again, it's only your word.
Yes.
At the time, that's why there is respect of what is called the last testament.
Yes.
Okay? The last
Hold on. Oh yes. and that is what just be easy. So when it comes, okay, somebody does a last land testament, and then somebody sells you the land. What happens?
You see there is a lot of things that maybe we don't know. There is something called the last will and testament, that the law must respect the will of the dead. It is there, and the court will respect that. But again, do we write it? Do we put it in writing? Because verbal, when it's verbal, it's your word against mine. But when it's written and well documented, then it becomes difficult for the court to rule otherwise. And
So
again,
hold on. So me, I can go and challenge your land because your father gave it to you, and he said, "Okay, this is my land."
You have to have legal basis to do it.
You have to have a basis. I cannot, siwezi toka hapa niende kwa kina Monda and then I say, hii ni shamba yetu. There must have been a linkage that led me to that piece of land.
But Mr. Aren't you then suggesting that there seems to be a disconnect between sort of the liberal democratic or Western understanding of the law, right? The traditional classical Western understanding, and our African tradition, right? Which is not always documented. It's not always literary, but it's based on tradition. It's based on customs. And we've not really interrogated that as Africans to say, our own African norms, customs, and traditions, ARAMA, are also important. That just because my grandfather or father didn't write it down, doesn't mean it should not apply, right? In other words, everything doesn't need to be literal. And that, Mr. That shamba you were talking about, which is then being subdivided, if they brought a traditional, our traditional African customary norms, which have been there for centuries, I think that element should also be included, should also be powerful. But we seem to be so biased in terms of assuming, because it's British and it's from the liberal democratic tradition, that it has to be right. So I see a tension between the modern, quote-unquote modern, and our traditional values, and we really need to respect the tradition.
Okay. Give me a chance to respond, guys.
Hold on. Just a clear. And that's why.
Let me first respond to Prof before I forget.
Yes.
There is no disconnection, Prof,
and that is why, hold on. And that is why I'm trying to understand.
Keja, just give him a moment. Yeah.
What your argument is logical, and your argument is actually very. The court has created avenues through which this kind of disputes can be resolved. Now, when you come to court, let's go back. How was information passed on in the traditional ways? It was from one person to the other. All right.
Right.
And possibly when when any elderly person needed to do something, he summoned his people, he summoned the community, and they sat down and he expressed his will.
Yeah.
Now, if by any chance you have these people, when it's verbally, you have witnesses who can testify what your last will and testament was, then that is legally binding. But if it's just your word, Monda, that my father said I should do this, and you are oppressing your sisters and brothers, then it doesn't hold water. Now, that is why the court in its wisdom brought actually in Kenya, it brought what is called digression. The court, when it's especially issues to do with land, especially when it's family, they brought about digression or mediation, whereby the court mediation or court digression, where it goes to someone who is appointed, someone who's going to listen and do their own investigation and do a recommendation to the court, and bring both the lawyers of both parties, and the lawyers will express. The lawyers are not supposed to talk or make an argument during the mediation time. The lawyers are just there to guide their clients or help the clients that the decision they make, what are the implications legally. At the end of that conclusion, then they will the person in charge of mediation will write a mediation report and make a recommendation, and the judge will see the judge will go through it and see that it has been agreed between two parties that this is how they would like to proceed. If the two parties disagree, then it is at the discretion of the judge to make a ruling based on the laws of the land. However, you have to know that right now Kenya has invested a lot in mediation, because mediation takes away the issues to do with matters relating to families, because there is a wastage of time, of the precious time of the court, because most of the time these issues can be resolved by people sitting down and talking to one another, because usually it's because they're not talking to one another.
I'm trying to get it to I'm trying to get it to another level. Now that you've given us a family issue, I'm trying to get you to another level. Now that you've given us a family issue, now we understand how it goes. So this thing about Kenya Railways and the people, why the mediation and why bomoa kila kitu, and why is it going on?
That is not, you see, that's not family, you know. I am a beneficiary from Kenya Railways, the SGR. When SGR took a piece of my land, it's called compulsory land acquisition. They did evaluation and I was compensated. I handed over the title deed and they paid me. They actually paid me first, and then later on I surrendered my title deed. The issue here is that there has been historical grabbing of land, of government land, or parastatals or some agencies of the government from people who have influence. And you rightfully said, and I think it's Professor who said, that when you have power and resources, you have social capital of the highest, then you have your way, you can make your way. When Margaret Wanjiru was the minister in the ministry of housing, she used her connection and thought that she has sealed the loophole of ownership and that nobody will follow her. And perhaps that's why, in her wisdom, when she realized that probably Kenya Kwanza might carry the day, she supported Kenya Kwanza for her own interest. Ask yourself, why would religious leaders be interested in politics if they don't look for some sort of immunity? Okay, that is why I listened to a clip that was where she supported William Ruto, and she spoke so highly about William Ruto. Now that William Ruto is trying to make sure that he has recovered the government land that was grabbed by the cartels, now suddenly William Ruto becomes the bad one, you know? So this is the double standard that we have, that we shouldn't see from religious leaders anyways.
All right.
Well said.
Yeah. Well said. All right.
Faith, I don't know what you have to say with that, because Misha, you seem to be suggesting that
Misha is so bitter with religious leaders. I don't know what's up. I don't know what they did to you.
Margaret Wanjiru is really part of a cartel. It's part of a cartel. Just another politician dropped in a pastor's robe, you know, pretending to be holier than thou. Whiskey. She still goes to the boogie in the disco. And on Sunday morning, she's crying in the church. And blessing you, you need to be saved. Yet yesterday when she was sleeping with someone's husband. You see, it's really disastrous in Kenya. Ndugu mwenyekiti.
Kunyang'anywa vipi kama nani? Tafadhali na pasta.
I will not allow my girlfriend or wife to go to church. No. Atatongozwa na pasta. Hell no.
That is insecurity. Mali ni ya girlfriend yako. Vile anataka kupeana, wacha apayane.
Bro.
Bob unasema nini?
Because you don't have the right to.
What? Bro. Haujiamini nini?
Bob, mimi nataka unitafutie kufuli bwana, nifunge. Hakuna mtu anaingia hapo isipokuwa mimi. Nafungua nafunga.
Lakini
soko imefungwa. Soko imefunguka.
Baramonda. Hayo tunawachia Mwenyezi Mungu kwa sababu yeye mwenyewe ndiye aliumba na hakuweka kufuli. Kwa hivyo hatuwezi tukalaumu pasta ama
lakini Bob, mbona pasta anatongosa na pasta anabidi au anachunga? Yani umeweka fisi kwa shamba la kwa boma la kondoo. Jamani.
Jamani, Bob ataongea ama Bob ataongea?
Bob anaongea.
Bob anasema nini?
Ameenda ku-Google kwanza nye ataongea.
Maana nilikuwa nataka
lakini Bob haujaambiwa poa. Ati wewe rafiki yako mkubwa ni Google, lakini hauishi Kenya, hujui mambo yanayojiri kule Kenya. Bwana mwenyekiti, inabidi
nilikuwa nataka nisaidie.
I withdraw that statement.
Yeah.
Wacha nipatie chance Bob disapprove your statement.
Faith. Unajua haukubali kutusi serikali. The offense is treasonable.
You know we Kambas are very loyal, so I'm not gonna interfere.
Nilikuwa nataka niongezea hapo. Nilikuwa nataka kuongezea Faith aende kwa kenyalaw.org. Alafu ataona hiyo kesi kutoka huko kitambo, itasaidia yeye. Alafu kitu nyingine, si ati tuko na shida na hatuna shida na dini ya Ukristo. Sisi ni Wakristo na tunapenda dini yetu.
Na tunapenda pia.
Lakini tunapiga makosa. Tunapiga tu makosa. Tumeona makosa iko mahali na huwezi tumia daktari kujifunika ati ukirop jina ya William tulifanya campaign. Kila mtu alifanya campaign bwana. Tuko pamoja campaign ndio ufiche mali ya Kenya Railways. Peana mali bwana.
But ndugu mwenyekiti, may I ask Mr. a quick question?
Yes.
I'm thinking of the old case precedent. Remember the SM Otieno and Wambui case, right?
I was about to refer to that. Yes.
That tension between sort of the modernity, sort of your formal rational legal models, right? Your traditional liberal democratic Western constitutions, but also then your customary law.
Yeah.
But the court then rules back then, in that case, in that precedent-setting case, in favor of the customary law, right? The clan, the Luo clan.
Yes.
And violated the rights of Wambui, right? Because she had a legal right over SM Otieno's, of burning her husband. So I'm just wondering, I mean, what are some of the, in thinking so many years later, right? What are some of the effects of that precedent in terms of reconciling or complicating further this tension between the modern and the traditional? Because I always feel as Africans, we are really lost. We don't really know ourselves. Our religion is a foreign religion. We don't speak our own languages. You know, we say we love Africa, but we all live abroad. There's all these contradictions. We don't even invest in our own spirituality. You know, I would love to know what my great-grandfathers believed before the Europeans came. but we are also consumed in foreign religions which are not even African. We're speaking right now in a language which is not even African. Anyway, that's beside the point. I'm just
Professor
curious, how did that case influence? Did it reconcile the modern and the traditional, or what are some of the complications that it created? Because in my view, the woman's rights were really violated. If you really look at it, alifanyiwa unyama Wambui.
Professor Monda, kuongezea jambo hilo, najua Mise ndio atakuwa kwa hali ambayo ni heri kidogo kujibu haya maswala. Katika katiba yetu kuna any recognition ya customary law kusupersede the written law which they want to claim is legal. I mean, does it mean that if the customary law surpasses the written law, is there any violation, or how do we reconcile the contradictions between these two laws?
Mise leo masomo yako utaweka kwa
hiyo
practice.
Hiyo kesi ya nani nimejaribu kutumia ile kitu nani Faith alisema.
Yeah.
Kwa sababu I honestly don't think I am fully sikumbuki hiyo kesi vizuri, but based on what Monda is asking, you know, let me give you one case law here.
Mm-hmm.
There was people from Middle East here in Canada. So the husband married, according to the Muslim, they are allowed to marry 4 wives.
Mm-hmm.
Even though
what's the case name? You know,
I'll tell you. I'll tell you in a few. Even though Canada doesn't support polygamy,
mm-hmm.
legally, when you are filing your papers, if you are from onset, if you indicate that you are married to 4 wives and you know, the religion supports that or your constitution supports that, you can process for them. However, when you can sponsor them, however, you must have someone, you must choose someone to live with, okay?
Mm-hmm.
So and that is your wife, a legal wife that you will be known. The rest are not recognized legally. Now, in this case, in British Columbia, there was a family of that kind, and what they did is one family decided, you know, the daughters got here, they got they got accustomed with the tradition and culture here. Now they could wear trousers.
Mm-hmm.
They could, you know, date people who are not Muslim. They could eat, and you know, something that was not religiously right according to the Muslim. So what these people did is the wife and the brother and the husband decided to kill these daughters.
Yes.
Of the other wife.
Yeah.
So they killed them, and when they were taken to court, they were arguing it was honor killing.
Yes.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So, however, the judge ruled by saying that that is twisted concept of honor.
Mm-hmm.
Actually, if you type that Professor Monda in Google, if you type you search for twisted concepts of honor killing, of honor, you will get that case law. I just forgot it. Might have. Let me tell you right now. So what I wanted in British. So what I'm trying to say is that there are times, the case of Wambui, Otieno, and you know, it was also politically charged.
Mm-hmm.
It was not just a case. It was a case between 2 rivalry tribes, you know, the
Right.
Luos and the Kikuyus.
Kikuyus. Yeah.
So it was a very delicate, case for the judge. For judge, I think Bosire, someone Bosire. So
it was Justice Bosire, Justice Quach.
Yes, among others.
Judges. Man, I followed that case. I had all the nation clippings and everything.
Yeah. And so they saw in their wisdom, at their discretion, they decided to rule to give tradition an upper hand vis-a-vis, because the law has two elements, the letter and the spirit. So they want the spirit way than the letter. The letter says you can't do this, you can't do that, and that's it. But the spirit says, yeah, you said we can't do that, but what about if we do this and there is this and that? That's why every law has an exception. That's why. So Professor Monda, I think we cannot use Wambui Otieno's case, because it came a time when there was very sharp rivalry between the Kikuyus and the Luos. Remember, it was the Kibaki commission, right? It's Kibaki's, during Kibaki's time, and Kibaki had stolen from the Luos, apparently. So either way, it was a case that really needed a lot of wisdom, and that precedence was necessary to neutralize the rivalry and the tension between the two tribes.
Missy.
Yeah.
So in such a case, so it means that at some instances, as you said, it's both the spirit and the letter, then tradition can be presumed to be law, right? So do you think they took an example?
It cannot be presumed to be the law, but it can be presumed as a ground or a premise, or rather an argument, a premise to make an argument.
Because that case will be used as precedent in another case, right?
Actually, correct. It's being used as precedent in a lot of burial cases in Kenya.
Correct.
Yes. So do you think that, because as Professor Monda alisema vizuri, that sisi kama Africa, we don't know what we stand for. We don't know who we are. We have been pushed to believe in a democracy. We have been pushed to believe in a written constitution, whereas our colonial masters don't have a written constitution. They believe in tradition as a form of their, as a form of their law.
Good point.
Yeah.
But
you're talking about the English, right?
You see, it's like the way we were arguing about Airi, okay? And us taking Kenyan police to Airi. Why didn't you ask yourself, why didn't we go to Somali and the Americans in 1992 during the Bill Clinton had to come all the way from the US to Somali? Why didn't we go there and we were closest?
Okay, why? Why? Give us why.
So those are some of the questions that probably we might not have answers, but it did happen. And the lesson that we learned, the Americans learned from Black Hawk Down during Bill Clinton's time, is a lesson that they will not underestimate, even the gang in Haiti, to be humiliated. So it's better to use decoys in resolving or in propelling their agendas in Haiti. And Kenya happens to be, and I agree with Professor Monda, at the end of the day, the money that has been set aside for this mission will in one way or the other affect our economy. The same way Rwanda, United Kingdom, is decided to take refugees to Rwanda, and Rwanda decided to accept them. Why are we not asking Rwanda, why did they accept refugees in Rwanda? Why it not for monetary? It's business.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. So Mise, then are you saying then are there any other cases? Because so are you suggesting Mise that Wambui, Otieno, I mean, I feel in a sort of a classical legal sense, her rights were violated, right? And it became such a political thing, like you're saying, because Moi seemed to have an anti-Kikuyu agenda. And, you know, he wanted to shove it up the ass of Kikuyus. Excuse my language, but that's just the truth. This was in the 80s. So to show them, I'm going to put you in your place. In your movie, you know, I'm gonna shove it up your behind. But her rights were violated because, especially with the 2010 Constitution, where we're really trying to empower women. I mean, shouldn't the pendulum then go the other side? Because in my view, it seems we succumbed to the dictatorship of the majority, and we denied the rights of this individual. Her very sacred and last rights, a very personal and private right, me say, to give her husband an honorable discharge. All these relatives were never living with this man. They never took care of him. They never went through his problems. They never gave children. They never gave birth to children for him. But she was that honor was ripped from her. So I'm just curious. I mean, how do we reconcile this dilemma? I know you've mentioned, yes, we have some traditional practices, but if Keja and myself are having a conflict over land, if Keja is my brother, he can bring 10 elders from the village and I bring 10 elders from the village, and they're both talking separate things. So what happens in that case? I mean, does the judge then default to the formal law, or I mean, what happens in terms of that mediation? What happens if we can't agree? Are there other avenues? I mean, how do you split the difference?
Again, you already answered yourself this question. You already said that justice is not for the poor, and there is no justice. There's no word. Yeah, have you ever? Do you remember what Lady Justice means?
The law is an ass.
It is.
She's not blind. She's private color. Yeah.
Yes, Prof. There is nothing like justice. Justice is influenced by who you know, how much you have. Okay. Now, I need to go back to my notes. In United States, there was a one lady who was who had a troubled life. She was behind her bills. She didn't have car insurance. The
one lady you're talking about is Trump.
No, it's actually a case. It's a president.
Mm-hmm.
So then,
which case was that?
I will look for the case. I will look for specific. I'll get you that. I'll look for my notes. But he is the moral lesson of that. This lady, however, she was very hardworking. She had 3 jobs, but still she was behind her bills, which means she was working minimum job. Mm-hmm. But again, she happened to work for a former judge of, one of the courts in the United States. The daughter of the judge, the former judge, was a lawyer. Now, one day, the neighbor's son found a way, stole the key, and drove the vehicle and caused an accident. Now, the vehicle didn't have insurance. The vehicle was parked where she left. And of course, when the police tracked back, it belonged to her. Mm-hmm. So when she was taken to court, they found out, when the police ran her record, they found out she has a lot of unpaid tickets, right? And as well as she has 2, 3, 4 jobs, but still she's behind. And the neighborhood where she lived was questionable. Now, when she was taken through the court, the district attorney did not want to take her because anyways, they had concluded that she was the one who was in possession of the vehicle at the time when it caused accident and it was abandoned. So when the daughter of, when she was taking care of the former judge, she looked disturbed, and in the conversation, she disclosed to the judge, and the judge shared with the lady, and who is a lawyer, and the lady decided to take the case up. At the time, everything was looking against this woman. But as soon as a daughter of the former judge
took a case,
and who is also a lawyer, took up this case, everything was thrown out.
Yeah. Where was it? What state?
Yeah, I'll get. I don't remember, but this is something. This is something.
But
I'll give you. I have it somewhere. I'll give you. Let me make a conclusion here. The conclusion that I'm making here is that justice, when quickly, that's why you see profiling came up. This lady had already been profiled. She doesn't have a good job. She has 2 jobs. She has tickets. So anyways, she couldn't even defend herself in court. The law was not for her. So until someone who had money and influence and know-how and knowledge came in, and all of a sudden all the cases were withdrawn. So we have monetized we have looked for a way to monetize by profiles, by profiling people and make money out of it. That's why in the United States we had prison industrial complex, that came up. So my argument is, if you don't have money, you can't get.
Don't talk about the U.S. system, because the U.S. system is different by state.
No, but prison industrial
is still the same.
It's still the same. The federal law is the same. Let me tell you, the federal law remains the same. State laws might have state laws, but they do not deviate from the federal law.
So Arama, could I give my small contribution on that one?
Yes.
Just on that specific case.
Yes.
Right.
I need to get my contribution on that one too.
Right. So Kenya and Missy, I think you're both right. I mean, I did a research project on this very question, and I wrote an op-ed in The Nation, if you just Google it, last year, on why Kenyans being deported are more likely to have their rights infringed upon them. So Missy is right in the context that we do have a prison industrial complex in this country. Number one, ARAMA, because prisons in this country, the police service was really created not as a service for public safety, but as a slave catching institution. That's why they originally set up police stations in the late 1800s because there was a problem of runaway slaves. The blacks were running away from their masters.
Yeah.
They had to find a way to get this property back to its owners, right? So there's that element. But also, in terms of what Missy is saying, it's very geographic. So not all 50 states are equal, right? I mean, yes, we have a union, but of course, there's richer states and bigger states. New York, Texas, California, Florida, those are huge. So in other words, the bigger states contribute more to Washington than what they get back in taxes, right? In terms of federal. In other words, bigger states subsidize smaller states. So the richer states subsidize the Mississippis, the Arkansas, the Idahos, and so on and so forth. So where it comes to what Missy was talking about is a lot of these large prison centers end up being in the poorer, Midwestern, and mainly Southern states. So if you really read into the literature, a lot of the prisons, say in California, are moving to Oklahoma, to Arizona, to Louisiana, to Arkansas, because it's become a business. It's more expensive to maintain prisoners in California than if you moved them to Arkansas. It's much cheaper to raise them in Arkansas. And ARAMA, then the other problem is the law is also structured whereby they really penalize, like if you had hard crack cocaine in New York City versus purer cocaine, right? The purer form of cocaine, which the richer people can afford. Yes. The penalty for having the more purified cocaine is a lot less than the crack cocaine which you are locked up for a much longer period.
Yes.
So what are the racial dynamics of that? More minorities end up in jail because they can't afford the more refined drugs, and they are stuck with the crack cocaine. So there's a disproportionate representation of minorities. Now, how does that affect us as Kenyans? You find a lot of the people in those prisons, and this is, Misha, I don't know if you know about this. This is one of the big problems with our deportation system, with this prison industrial complex, whereby because a lot of foreigners, you don't have papers or your asylum petition was denied, but you committed a crime. So these guys get locked up, or they end up in immigration limbo, getting moved from one prison in the south to another, from one prison in the south to another. And then, Ndugu Mwenyekiti, what happened? The prisons are benefiting because you're giving them free labor. Yeah. So it's not they're not incentivized to release you early because you're making money for them. So it's easier for them to move you from Georgia to Louisiana, and then from Louisiana to Arizona, and then back, because the system is so clogged up with cases. So I guess that's what Misa is sort of referring to. But I don't want to get too deep into the legalistic stuff. But Kenya, you're right. The laws are different from one state to another. But I would also add, in this country, a lot of immigrants say, "Oh, come work, follow the law, and don't do crimes, and you'll be safe and okay." The system isn't always as simple as that.
No.
Let's not forget we are immigrants. We came with different values, and America generally, we came from generally middle class backgrounds. You can say you came from Kenya from a poor family, but you're still middle class, pretty much. That's the most of the immigrants. A lot of the people in this country, the poorest of the poor, they don't have role models, ARAMA. At least know of an uncle who was a doctor or an auntie who's a nurse or a teacher. You have role models you can live up to. The kids in the Bronx here, Kenya, I don't know my dad. My mother is sleeping with 20 different men every other day. I have no role models. I go to school. Our schools here in New York City, they have metal detectors, Kenya. You wouldn't believe this. In schools, metal detectors for guns. in middle school and high school, because these kids bring guns to on campus. So the structures, sometimes that's why I'm really glad we were born in Africa.
No.
You can even find a school which is mad, very poor. You think there's nothing going on there, but those kids, the structures and systems, those teachers are really teaching, and there's so much more learning. And even a lot of times, even in some of these more developed countries like the US, you have a very magnificent school, but the system is just collapsing. Anyway. I just thought I'd contribute on that.
Yeah, Prof,
and I've gotten the case law was actually, I just went to my notes and I've gotten my
case laws.
No,
hold on. Let me reply to Prof. Prof, there's one thing. And there's one thing you're going to realize. Ukipanda ndege, unawachaga baba yako na mama yako nyumbani. Regardless of where they are or how they are. The moment you land into these streets, there's nobody. Hakuna hata sisi wenye tulikuwa naweza pigia baba yetu. Nasema hapana ujisote. That's not my land. Ukishindwa unarudi. We are all orphans. That's how I look at it.
Yeah.
Unless you have parents in this world that we live in, we are all orphans. Yeah.
But speak for yourself. There's a lot of them that come here that are supported by their parents. They come from very rich families, So mommy sends them rest.
They are still orphans. Because you know why?
Yeah.
You know why? And
they still have to deal with the system here.
Yes, it's a whole different system.
I agree.
All right. So, Mr. Let me give you a chance to cite your case law, and then I'll give everybody a chance to give their final remarks.
Actually, I just found a lot of cases that are you know what you guys have saying. Canada has what is called a sort of different way of prosecuting the indigenous people or the Aboriginal. It's called sentencing circles.
Yes.
Okay, unlike
sorry, it's called what?
Sentencing circles.
Oh, what's that?
So it means before the case, the way they are tried is completely different from you and me can be tried. Okay, because the law is a bit lenient and as considered as factored in their traditional, because they are very traditional and they have their own culture of handling disputes and punishments and so on. So the law in when they were coming up with the Charter of Rights, the Constitution, they factored in the indigenous people. That
what is the Canadian Constitution?
It's called. That's what they say. Charter of Rights.
We have a Charter of Rights besides the Constitution.
But Mr. You number one, you do have a written Constitution, and like the English, right?
We do have a written Constitution,
right.
Yeah.
But the Charter of Rights basically it basically enforces and describes what are your rights and freedoms. All right.
And then how are First Nations considered in Canada? Like here. Technically, the reservations, right? The Indian, the Native American population, they're sovereign, so they are like their own independent states within the United States. Is that a similar format in Canada?
Yeah, just like when you're in the United States, when you're going to North Dakota, South, North, Montana, Lethbridge, you'll find a lot of indigenous people or the Aboriginals. Okay, so. The same way, so we have, when they are tried, you can check what is called RV Moses, okay? It will tell you it's one of those case laws that you might want to check. But primarily what I wanted to say is I've gotten the name of that lady. Her name is
Go ahead.
Mr. You said R, like the letter R, V, Moses, like Moses, the name
Moses.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Then, so what I wanted to tell you is...
No.
So I actually got my notes here as I was... so basically, the case law that I was telling you about, the old lady, I think it should be R.V. Carey Davis. I don't think I wrote the exact case law, but it should be R.V. Carey Davis. But here's what I wanted to say out of this, and answering what, Monda, your concerns are. The Aboriginal people are very traditional, and they have hold their tradition so dearly to their hearts, especially given that they feel that they are threatened by others, like who are like us. They identify themselves by and console themselves by holding to their traditions. Something that our governments have not, and where we come from, have not embraced. We are actually embracing modern or, a way of arbitration. So that is why we have deviated from our old ways. However, right now, the Kenyan government has come up with Nyumba Kumi. The essence of Nyumba Kumi is to try and, gather information, try to resolve issues at the earliest, and so on. But in actual sense, we are not embracing our culture. Now, there's something, Keja, I think it's you, Prof, who talked about when you mentioned about prison industrial complex.
Yeah,
there was a lot of deportation during the Obama time, and a lot of killing during the Obama time. But it was
we call Obama the deporter in chief. He deported more immigrants than any
other president in the history of the United States.
Many people don't know that,
but people didn't know about it. Obama killed a lot of people and it is during the Obama administration that the Americans killed their own, okay? Even when, you remember the story of Anwar al-Awlaki, okay? Anwar al-Awlaki, the father ran and went to the United Kingdom, and he kept saying that, do not kill my son is not a terrorist. But the son was an American citizen. But instead what Obama did, Obama used drones. Obama was the king of drones.
Oh yeah.
So he used the drones and they killed him. And because they did not want to bring him back to try him in the American soil, so they wanted to kill him because they did not have substantial evidence, so that when they bring him to the American soil, they could not try him. There were challenges in the trial, and they did not have substantive evidence against the Anwar al-Awlaki Jr. So that's why we are saying that the law is not fair. You can use the law, given if you have power, the law can be unfair. And one classical example, you can use, it's called, I got this case, R.V. Harrison, where the judge ruled, what happened is that the police officer on a traffic stop stopped a vehicle that was from Alberta. In Alberta, the law, the province of Alberta, the law does not provide to have the front license plates.
Yes.
Okay. But in Ontario, the law provides that you must have the front and back license plates. So when the RCMP or the OPP, saw the vehicle, they were curious why the vehicle didn't have the front license plates. And then when the vehicle passed and they punched, they realized that this is a rental vehicle. And so after they checked, they saw that the driver was suspicious and they stopped him. After stopping him and asking whether he had a driver's license, they didn't have the driver's license. And so the police pretended to help him because the driver was pretending that he's looking, it's within somewhere within the vehicle. And the police joined him to look for the driver's license and went back to the trunk and found cocaine. Okay, and when we found cocaine, but there was no legal search. There was no. He didn't have the right to search the vehicle. And as such, he searched the vehicle without any search warrant. But he got the cocaine. Now, it was before the judge, and the judge argued that the police's action of pretending to help the driver to get the driver's license was a mere expedition of fishing of evidence. And such, the evidence was not admitted under rules and procedures of evidence. And therefore, even though there was cocaine that was there, so the evidence was not admitted, and so the guy was acquitted. So is that justice? That's what we were talking about, that the law sometimes is not justice in itself.
No, Mr. That's justice. That's exclusionary rule, right? They originally stopped him for the license plate. Now you can't go and on the pretext of looking for his license, fish for other evidence, and you find cocaine. You weren't looking for cocaine originally. I'm totally fine with that. That's abuse of police power. I think the judge was totally on point.
What if this person had a gun and he was going to commit?
Oh, what if he had somebody kidnapped in the trunk?
Right, or what if he had the devil in his trunk? I mean, we can go in all kinds of places on this, but we need to protect civil liberties. Arama, you can't allow the police all these kind of powers. Look at what they do in Kenya, man. I mean, the way they harass our people because people don't know the law.
So, Prof, in this case, the judge used the letter of the law. He did not use the spirit of the law.
Yeah. Can I ask one quick thing, Ndugu Mwenyekiti? Sorry, I just really need to ask him this question. Mr. Do you think, and for the rest of the participants, if I'm a Canadian, right, or I'm a Kenyan, or I'm a U.S. citizen, if I go against the U.S. Army and I'm fighting, Joel, like this happened in the UK. This woman went to Syria and was supporting the ISIS and Al-Qaeda, and they were killing British troops in the Middle East. And they stripped her of her citizenship. They stripped her of a British citizenship. They've refused to allow her back into the country. Mise, do you think that's constitutional? If you're native born, if you're British, your parents came to England, but you engaged yourself in Al-Qaeda, you went, literally, you committed treason against your own country. You're fighting your own country. Is it constitutionally permissible to strip someone of a God-given right of citizenship? Because in the US, you can't do that. You'll be Al-Qaeda, which was a part of what you're talking about with Obama. He was killing Americans with drones, and the people had a lot of questions about that. That's wrong. You have a right to support Al-Qaeda, even though it's wrong. You have a right to commit treasonable acts, but face the law. The government cannot kill you just because you have a very differing opinion.
Yeah, but you see, they are looking at it that, well, you've been extradited to the United States. Then you're going to use the resources of the United States that you wanted to fight. So the best thing they can do is just to eliminate you over there so that they don't use any resources. But that's why they introduced something called security certificates. I don't know if you heard this. It was especially this was working against people who acquired citizenship or who are not born
naturalized.
Naturalized.
Yeah.
So they introduced what is called security certificates. It worked here in Canada, and but it was suspended at a later stage. But this was actually originated from the United States. That once you are issued,
let me ask you a question.
Once you're issued, you will ask. Once you're issued security certificates, it means your rights are suspended. Okay, that you have no right to cancel, you have no right to be tried. You can only be tried on one. Wait, Keja. You can only be tried in one court. Here in Canada, it used to be in Kingston, the Supreme Court, and you can only be tried. The people who conduct your investigations are the RCMP, and the government will choose a lawyer for you. So now you can imagine, if they are choosing a lawyer for you, you don't have a right to choose your own lawyer, but they can assign you a lawyer. Then
this would be like a public defender, right?
Yeah. So basically, what happened? There was a gentleman who married a Canadian. Okay. The guy was
Watch a story. Hold on. Watch a story. Hold on. Be easy. Slow down.
Ndugu mwenyekiti, Arama, you gotta give us some extra minutes. Arama, give us this will be a taco extra. Add a few minutes to the end. Don't cut us off. Wacha Kenya achangie.
Tufanye hivi kidogo tu. Dakika moja tu. So now that you people are professors, you know that language ile mnaongea paka sisi tuna float wote. Wakenya wanaweza kufika huko?
Sasa mbona unaanza kutenganisha watu bwana?
Wacha twende tulale basi.
Serikali alielewa.
No. No, speak for yourself, Kenya. Speak for yourself.
Keja, we are learning a lot, Keja. We are sorry.
Arama.
Rudi Gumbaru, Keja.
Inaonekana watu wamepiga kura urudi Gumbaru, but all right. So guys, as we are coming to concluding the show, first of all, thank you so much. This has been a very lively event today, a very lively show. Thank you so much for your contribution. But let me give each one of you a chance to make your final remarks, and then we wind down, conclude the show. So take advantage of this to say ile iko kwa roho yako na ile hatukuongea. Bwana Andrew, wewe ndio mgeni, wacha nianze na wewe.
Thank you very much, Chairman. I want to say, being the first time I came here, I think I've enjoyed especially the discussion about the Omira Kager clan versus Wambuyo. I think that was a case I also really followed, and I think it ignites the long memories of those times. When that thing was an item in the news. Apart from, of course, the land issue in Nairobi, I think the railways are claiming their land even in Eldoret. I've seen people they've lost their petrol stations. They've lost a lot of businesses there, and there was no quarrel. Somebody said that Wanjiru might have been somebody who has known how to use power to safeguard what she's done all these years. Unfortunately, I think we have a very straight government. Very soon we'll know that this is a very straight one. And I can see people laughing.
Yes.
I'll defend my point another day. Otherwise, thank you very much.
Okay. Thank you.
Let nobody attack me.
No, you speak your piece. That's okay. So we take it.
Thank you. You have a good night and longing for the next one.
Okay. Thank you so much.
Yeah, don't hang up.
Yeah. Sasa wacha nena kwa mtu ya serikali Bwana Bob.
I think it is now getting clearer that we are being more intolerant to theft, hypocrisy, and corruption, and I hope the trend goes on and on, and that the net widens so that what belongs to the public remains to the public, and kind of just trying to make things back in order. And I also want to say thank you to Prof and Mise for such an adept analysis and a discussion that we've had today. I just want to add on what Andrew said, and I hope not Andrew said, sorry, I think Monda said it, that I think the interests of the country, especially on Haiti, should be placed first before self. We need to look at our internal security parameters and to make sure that the country is well secured first before we send the best out there. And also I'm hoping as we go forward, we as Africans, I think it's high time we start internalizing that tradition can be used as a part of the spirit of the law, so that we can also have the self-identification. It's around 60-something years after independence of many African states, and I think with the insight that Professor Monda has been giving, plus other Pan-Africanists have been giving, it shows that Africa is now realizing itself, and I hope as we proceed forward, it's a seed for the future generations of things to happen. Thank you, Professor Monda, for everything you're doing. I really appreciate it. And thank you, Mise, for taking us through all these great law class. I hope in the next 1 year or two, I will also be schooling Keja. Keja will be my student. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Bob. All right. I have Professor.
Bobo,
Professor angemaliza bwana. Save sweet for last.
Unajua ni ARAMA ndio wananiita professor. Muniite tu Monda. Mimi sina shida. Mtoto wa mnyonge. I'm the former
Sawa,
president
Professor.
former from
Wacha mimi
Sawa, Professor.
Sema tena
wacha
Your
chief.
title is
I'm a very
your
simple
title is
man.
earned. Your title
Haya,
was earned.
haya.
Very simple.
Haukuokota kwa
Haya,
barabara.
Bwana Moda, haya sasa
Ah.
nimeambiwa wewe nikutenge kwanza, wacha niende kwa mise Keja alafu wewe
Eh,
ndio utatusaidia.
okay.
Haya.
I was going through my notes.
Yes.
Okay. And actually, what we were talking about is criminal law paradigm. And we were talking about this, it's called criminal law versus war paradigms. So, and then we realized that criminal law prohibits killing someone, but war paradigms idea is you have to kill the other side, which is the enemy. Okay. And now that being said, after 9/11, President Bush gave the CIA authority to kill the USA citizens abroad. And that's the classic example of what Obama did with Anwar al-Awlaki and many other US citizens. And of course, you guys talked about treason. United States Constitution 1987 prohibits that. But in actual sense, when you look at the laws of war, Geneva Convention of 1949 provides certain guidelines, but I'm not going to go to that. I'm just going to go to a very interesting aspect of criminal law that talks about from Marcus. There's a quote from Marcus Aurelius, the Roman emperor, who said that poverty is the mother of all crimes. So this culminated to a stereotype or prejudice that the poor are dangerous and who will stoop to criminality if they are given a chance. That's why anyone who is, so with that kind of understanding, anyone who is poor is always perceived to be dangerous and is most likely to commit any crime. So that is what I wanted to say, that today, basically, we have discussed some things that have been very, very practical. And back to our country is that the majority are the poor, the minority are the ones that are, manipulating us the way they want, and they are creating and amassing more wealth for them. So it is you to crack the nut and become part of them, which is very difficult. That's why when you see someone like Ruto, the hustler, fighting and going up to get into that minority, that is why it was very uncomfortable for the few and rather the cartels. But now he's there. And I like the approach that he has taken. Actually, I just came from a meeting when we were talking with people from Kenya. And I was actually, I am afraid where the hustler government is going, which is, I find it a good thing, at the same time a bad thing, because there will be violation. There's no privacy, there's no prevention, or rather protection of personal information. But what basically they're trying to do is they're trying to come up with a way that if you go to anywhere, any business, anywhere, any part of Kenya, with a QR code or with a scanner, they already know this is Monda, Monda comes from Kisii, Monda is this and that, they have your whole profile, okay? So it is in the pipeline of the government to make sure that they have digitalized government services, and by digitalizing government services, that is one of their aim. On the other hand, is a good thing, because probably we don't have anything to hide. I think anyone who is out here has been, accustomed to paying taxes, and taxes is not a problem because we see the taxes working for us. But in our country, the question is our data protected? If it's protected, I mean, why not? It will help us to know how much Monda, has, how many wives Monda has, how many wives are connected to Monda.
You know what I know? You know what? That's dangerous. That's very dangerous information.
By so doing,
ARAMA, hata wewe, watajibu zawe.
By so doing,
they're coming for you.
Yeah, by so doing, we are going to play our fair share of paying our taxes, and we hope that the government as well, and those whom we have charged with the responsibility of representing or holding our power on our behalf, will do the right thing. Because if they don't, then through the same government services that we are digitalizing, we will hold them accountable. We will be able to pull their performance records, and being able to hold them accountable. So I believe what William Ruto is doing is good for our country. The shilling has all of a sudden changed. It is doing very well. And
it's bringing all the money back abroad. It's bringing it back.
You don't see, let me tell you, you don't see people wearing sufriyas in their head. What we want now to see, the Constitution says, power is vested in the people, and the people shall exercise the powers either directly or indirectly through their representatives. Now it is our time as a people to hold our people, to exercise our power by holding our representative accountable. If they are not dispensing their obligation as mandated by the Constitution, because they are our custodians, then we should recall them. People like Senator of Nairobi, the member of Embakasi, who are making a lot of noise and not performing. We want to recall them at the earliest.
You're talking about Babu, and
time to deliver.
Oh man, are you a KK guy?
Yes, I am okay.
It's
okay,
government.
now this is the time. Okay.
And lastly, before I forget,
yes,
you have seen that myself and Bob, we've been vindicated because we kept telling you that Raila Amolo Odinga is championing his own interests, and you never believed us. And at times has come when we have been vindicated.
We've been vindicated. Alikuwa anataka
Keja, acha tupatie Keja nafasi.
Yeah. To me, this is what a democracy is. Coming up and just sitting and talking, and without any fights, anybody being insecure about their country. And yes, the Ruto has made mistakes. Yes, Raila thought he would make his strong fights, but in the end of the day, the government has to be responsible. They have to take us where we want to go. They have to communicate where they're taking us. It's just like a father. When your father, when you're in the car, when the little kid is telling you, munaenda wapi? Unaambiwa tunaenda hapa, tutachukua hapa left. Tutauliza munaenda wapi? Unasema tumefika hapa, tunachukua right. Munaenda wapi? Munaenda wapi? To the point of where we get to. But the problem is, if we don't get that communication from the government, we don't know. And the worst part is when everybody is trying to, instead of the government trying to, wanafanya nini? Trying to be on the defense they have to tell us munaenda wapi na munaenda wapi kila siku. So communication sucks with the government. That's number one. Number two, you have to start taking care of these taxes. You have to take care of these taxes. I'm going to tafuta sisi tuko diaspora. If you start taxing us, we are not going to come. Unless people like Professor Monda, uko na pesa, well, hao ndio takuja. Yeah, and then number three, do not send us fake people to come to diaspora. Don't send us fake people to come to diaspora just to come and do their shows over here. Wanakuja, wanatudanganya tu, alafu wanarudi. Hiyo ni ujinga. Yeah, you make some of us move. And then when your government goes down, somebody else comes and make us move. And then number 4, as diasporans, this is the beginning. It can come from 2 or 3 people. We'll have to grow. Because with us diasporans, we have to blame ourselves. Because we are the ones who send those billions. We have to be responsible for it. You have to be, wewe ukitumia mama yako, unamuulizanga, ulinunua nyanya. We have to start being responsible for it. Yeah, we cannot be complaining. So when I bring it back, in order for the government to do something, we have to start from us. Pole. Nimwache hiyo maneno. Okay.
Haya, asante. Haya, Bwana Monda.
Mimi sina mengi ya kufungia. La kwanza ningependa kujibu yale yaliyosemwa na ndugu Mise. Ndugu Mise, wewe ni wakili. Wewe ni mtu inabidi uwe unapanua uhuru wetu. Mimi nashangaa umekaa na upande wa serikali kutubana. Unataka wajua tunapata kitita kipi cha pesa, na Monda analipwa ngapi, Kenya analipwa ngapi, Sivo analipwa ngapi, Bobu analipwa. Yaani unataka kupatia serikali madaraka zaidi ili inayo na serikali ina nguvu zaidi. Nimeshangaa sana na ndugu Mise. Ndugu Mise anataka kupatia serikali nguvu zaidi, na serikali tayari ni Muhammad Ali inatutwanga. Tafakari jambo hilo, sitaki kuliingilia sana, lakini mimi nashangaa wakili anataka nguvu zetu kama raia tuendelee kupatia serikali nguvu. Na wanatutandika, wanatuchapa viboko, wanatucharaza viboko na kuni, wanatutandika, wanatunyonya, wanatunyanyasa. Na yule nifikiria atatutetea wakili Mise anasema endelea kumpatia madaraka. Wewe kweli huu ni ungwana? La pili, ndugu ARAMA, lazima niseme hivi. Ningependa kuwa na wanawake hapa kwa mdahalo. Kumekuwa na ndume 7 hapa. Yule dada mmoja alikuwa hapa, pengine alikuwa na shughuli zake, pengine watoto, pengine bwana, pengine mpenzi au wapenzi, sitaki kuingilia mambo yake. Lakini ndugu Arama, ningependa upanue mjadala huu, tuingize nafsi na sauti ya wanawake. Pia tungalipenda ndugu Mise, ukiweza leta wasomi wa sheria tuangazia hili swala la uhamiaji. Najua Wakenya wengi wako hapa, sisi tunajua Wakenya wengi wako hapa Marekani hawana makaratasi. Wangependa tafadhali ndugu Arama, watu wanaumia hapa Marekani. Nimeona Wakenya wengi wako hapa New York hawana makaratasi, hawajui waende mbele wala kwenda nyuma. Hawezi kutoka Marekani kwa sababu wakirudi Kenya hawezi kurudi kuingia Marekani. Walikuja hapa visa 600. Imekuwa miaka 10 bado wameshindikana hapa ni Jersey, New York. Tafadhali tujadili jambo hili. Tuwe na mpangilio, pengine tuwe na nafsi fulani, pengine tuwe na kitengo fulani. Siku moja sema tutakuwa na mawakili kwenye diaspora tako watajibu maswali yenu. Yaani wale watu wanakuja na maombi, maswali yote ya mambo ya uhamiaji, ya pata visa, vitu kama hivyo. Alafu pia tusiangazia sana siasa. Najua Wakenya tumependa siasa sana. Lakini pia tuangazia masuala ya kijamii. Wasana Kenya alikuja Marekani. Kenya ni mtoto mzuri. Akiingia Marekani anaanza kumea pembe. Ndugu yangu Kenya ametoa msichana wake Bungoma, ampatia visa, green card amemleta hapa Marekani. Alikuwa mwana wa Ingo. Akivuka kuja Marekani, mama anamea pembe. Akisha pata green card yake na uraia, anakupiga talaka. Lazima tuangazie mambo haya ndugu Arama. Swala la 3. Mambo haya wanadiaspora kuuana. Jamani, mnakumbuka huyu kijana yuko Kenya, alitoroka Kenya, aliua mpenzi wake Boston Logan. Alimuua kinyama. Akamwacha na damu, analoa damu. Jamani, msichana hata kama mmekosana, wachana naye, wasichana ni wengi. Mbona umfanyie unyama? Amekimbia Kenya, amewekwa jela. Arama, lazima tuangazie hii. Amewekwa jela.
Hapa.
Na FBI wametoa jabala ziwabuge. Kijana anaepa Kenya. Jamani,
hiyo ndio maneno tunaanza kuingilia. Shida mali.
Alafu kumalizia ndugu mwenyekiti, lazima niseme kozi halei kuku wa wana. Kozi halei kuku wa wana. Yani, the ego does not take care of the chicks. Huwezi kumweka fisi kwa boma ya kondoo. Mimi nimetafakari. Kuna wengi wanasema, kwa sababu wewe mchungaji, unapata nafsi ya kuweza kupata rasilimali za serikali. Lakini nikipiga darubini ya Arama, mchungaji yule anajifanya kwamba Biblia kwamba yeye ni mweupe kama mweupe pepepe. Kweli hana dosari? Kweli hafanyi uchafu, unyama? Alafu swala lingine, wale viongozi wetu wa Arama, wale tunaowachagua mwaka huu Novemba, wengine wenu mtaenda kwa debe, mtasema Trump au Biden. Kitafakari, Marekani itaenda wapi? Tukiwa tunaendelea kupigia fisi kura na tunaweka fisi kwa boma ya kondoo, matarajio yetu ni yepi?
Asante. Haya.
Thank you.
Wacha tufunge. Time imeenda. So thank you everybody. Thank you so much for your contribution today. Thank you so much for your participation. I appreciate you. Naomba tena tukutane next week. Bwana Monda, tutatilia maanani hayo umesema. Tutatafuta wanadada wenzetu ambao wamekuwa katika TACO, tuone kama watarudi, kama watapatikana. Lakini tusife moyo, kujeni tuchangiane, tuelimishane na tutiane moyo katika maisha haya yetu. Asanteni sana. Thank you so much for being here. My technical director kwa studio, Bwana Steven, thank you so much for your patience. Thank you so much for always being there for us. Bwana Gerald Bitok, thank you for this platform. We appreciate you, and we thank you so much for giving us an opportunity to express and give our opinions and raise concerns that are pertinent to us and to our country at large. The TACO Diaspora Edition ends now. Bye-bye. See you next week. Thank you.
Shukran.